Imagine a world plunged into the darkness of war. World War II was a time of great struggle and immense bravery. Across the vast Eastern Front, a unique group of heroes emerged. They were women, they were pilots, and they became legends. These were the Soviet women of the 588th Night Bomber Regiment. They took to the skies when their country needed them most. Their story is one of incredible courage and determination.
Women were used because Russia was short of manpower and short of pilots. And there were women in Russia who were extremely capable aviators and able to lead combat squadrons.
They flew under the cover of darkness. They faced unimaginable dangers. And they struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. Their enemies, the German soldiers, gave them a chilling nickname. They called them Nachtwachsen. This translates to night witches. Why such a name? It was because of the sound their old planes made. As they approached their targets, these pilots would cut their engines. They would glide silently through the night air. The only sound was a soft whooshing. It was like the whisper of a witch's broomstick sweeping through the sky. This eerie sound, followed by sudden explosions, terrified the German troops. The creation of this all-female air regiment was quite remarkable. It was largely thanks to a famous Soviet aviator, Marina Raskova. She was often called the Soviet Amelia Earhart. Raskova used her influence to persuade Joseph Stalin. She argued that women were eager to fight for their motherland. They deserved the chance to fly in combat. They volunteered in droves, eager to contribute to the war effort. They knew the risks, they understood the challenges. Yet they stepped forward without hesitation. They were ready to face the horrors of war, armed with courage and a deep love for their country. The pilots of the 588th Regiment were a diverse group. Yet they shared a common spirit. They were mostly young women, some as young as 17 when they enlisted. These women were not just filling quotas. They were skilled aviators who had often learned to fly in civilian clubs before the war. They underwent rigorous training, pushing themselves to their limits. The aircraft these brave women flew were far from modern fighting machines. They piloted Polikarkov PO2 biplanes. These planes were considered obsolete even at the start of the war. They were made of simple materials like wood and canvas. They were slow, with a top speed that made them vulnerable to faster German fighters. Imagine flying into combat in a machine that offered little protection. And with these tools, they wrought havoc on the enemy night after night. Despite these drawbacks, the PO2s were surprisingly effective for their specific role. Their slow speed made them difficult targets for the much faster German, which struggled to slow down enough to engage them effectively. The PO2s could also fly very low, making them harder to detect by radar or spot from the ground. Their ability to take off and land on small, makeshift airfields close to the front lines was another advantage. The Night Witches learned to exploit these characteristics brilliantly. They turned the weaknesses of their aircraft into strengths. The primary role of the Night Witches was harassment bombing. Their missions were designed to disrupt and demoralize the German forces. They flew under the cloak of darkness, targeting enemy encampments, supply depots, ammunition dumps, and rear area bases. Each night, they would fly multiple sorties, sometimes as many as 8 to 10 per crew. The goal was not necessarily to cause massive destruction with each individual raid, although their cumulative impact was significant. It was the psychological toll on the enemy troops, denying them rest and keeping them constantly on edge, that made their missions so effective. To avoid detection by sound, they developed a particular technique. As they neared their target, the pilot would idle the engine.
Close to their aim point, they would switch off their engines and glide in silently to drop the bomb.